Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed a great lunch and we're all recharged and ready to go for the second session today, this afternoon. I'll be beginning with a short session now on audio-descriptive commentary and the benefits that the service can bring. I'm pleased to be joined today by Alan March. Alan is an audio-descriptive commentator and trainer. He's provided the service for over 10 years now. He first got into audio-descriptive commentary through an initiative run by the RNIB in the UK, and now runs his own company where audio-descriptive commentary remains an important part of the work that he does. We're also joined on stage here by Julien Ronca, who is an audio-descriptive commentator from Olympique Marseille in France. Julien took part in our training ahead of UEFA Euro 2016 and has continued to provide the service in Marseille since, and he's now working to expand audio-descriptive commentary across France also. We also have Hannah Thompson here. Hannah is a partially blind fan, a huge football fan, and the Director of Humanities and Arts Research Institute at the Royal Holloway University of London. Hannah travelled to UEFA Euro 2016 in France and blogged about her experiences of using audio-descriptive commentary, and we've worked closely with Hannah since then. And we're going to get a really good understanding of Hannah's experiences as someone who uses audio-descriptive commentary at live matches. Last but not least, we're joined by Lubomir Pokotilo, who provided audio-descriptive commentary in Ukraine, now in Kiev. Lubomir was part of our training program in 2012, ahead of Ukraine co-hosting the European Championships. Again, continues to provide the service in Ukraine and also train in the next batch of audio-descriptive commentators in Ukraine. So to begin this session, I'm going to pass over to Alan, who we're going to have a quick look at the differences between different styles of commentary and try and show why audio-descriptive commentary is so important.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to say a big thank you to Joyce and Ruth, who, without those, I wouldn't have started my journey as an audio describer. And it's something that I was just discussing with Hannah about the benefits and the pride that it gives me. So I'm not here as a businessman, I'm here as somebody who enjoys what I do, and audio description is one of those arms. Okay. The first thing we're going to look at is...
So, first of all, we're going to look at just listen to a TV commentary of a particular goal. We won't show the goal just yet, but we want you to listen to the commentary and tell us what you understand of that goal so far. So we can have the first audio.
20 seconds of the added time left, and Martin O'Neill saying, get forward, we can nick it here. G. Sessegnon. For G! He's round the goalkeeper, he's done it! Absolutely incredible! It ain't over till it's over. There's never been a fixture to tell you that, like this one. Well, absolutely astonishing.
So to begin with, those of us that don't have a visual impairment, that is Martin Tyler doing what Martin Tyler does very well. But it is TV, and that's the whole point. You're watching a TV game, and the pictures do the speaking. So it's as far removed from audio description as I think all of us would agree that anything can be. Martin Tyler does a very, very good job, but he's not asked to audio describe. He's not asked to provide commentary for a specific viewer. He's asked to make a game come to life. You know, the famous Aguero for the winner against QPR. You know, Torres and Gary Neville. They're all Martin Tyler, but they're all very, very good pieces of commentary. But what you don't get from that, and what you don't get from TV, is any idea what actually happened.
So we can now go for the second clip, which is a radio commentary of the same goal.
20 seconds of the added time left, and Martin O'Neill.
Aguero, 30 yards from goal. Aguero shaping to shoot, headed away. Very good header by Kilgallen. Larson, buoyant stretch now. Sunderland 3 against 3. In fact, it's 5 against 3.
If they go for it, they can score here. Go.
If they go for it. Gidon-1. Right corner of the penalty area. Sessegnon, back to Gidon-1. Gidon-1 has won it. He rounded the goalkeeper. And the South Korean was so composed. The stadium of light erupts. Manchester City It's Sunderland 1, Manchester City 0.
Okay, so don't pinch yourself. That was indeed radio commentary. Not TV commentary, radio. The medium that was designed to fill in the blanks. The thing that was designed first. Years ago in the United Kingdom, the Radio Times would publish in the centre pages a diagram of 1 to 12. And the commentators would say, Stanley Matthews, 1. Because you knew where he was on the field. You could follow the play. And that was the idea of radio. That's what radio should be. That's what commentary on the radio should allow you to do, is follow the game. In that example we just showed you, that ball moves 75 yards at one point before you understand where the ball is. He mentions the edge of the penalty area. He mentions the wrong edge of the penalty area, admittedly. So not only does he not move the ball around, he also describes the wrong side of the pitch. How are you meant to follow that? How are you meant to follow that as a radio listener, let alone somebody sat in the stands who has a visual impairment trying to follow the ball?
So now we're going to watch a clip of the goal, but without any sound. And Alan's going to tell us what an audio-descriptive commentator would look to describe on the same goal.
Am I?
Hopefully.
Didn't tell me this till a minute ago. Sunderland come away with it. Edge of the centre circle inside their own half as they move it out to the left-hand side. On halfway, moving forward, this is Larson. Wide is G. 30 yards from goal. G, the Korean, moving towards the edge of the penalty area. Feeds it into the edge of the box here. Sessegnon back through to G. On the penalty spot, on the 6-yard box. And goal. Sunderland have scored. The most important thing... When I teach this, the most important thing is to put the ball in exactly the right place. Okay, I stumbled across the 6-yard box, forgive me, so what? But I said goal. And one of the things that I listen to in the radio is a lack of actually telling me what's happening. I spent a cab ride years ago listening to a Newcastle versus Arsenal game. Michael Owen was playing for Arsenal. Michael Owen won a header in this game, which I think was the 3rd of his entire career. But the commentator just went, Owen! And myself and the cab driver, listening to the roar of the noise on the radio, were saying, oh, it'll be good for Michael Owen to score, get him back in the England team. The next thing the commentator said was, goal kick. That's not right. It's not right. And audio description is better than that. It's more useful than that. What I've tried to demonstrate there is that any average person can move a ball around a field and make it sound good. I will get anybody a pint of beer in this room if you can guess what I did before I became an audio describer. What was my job? Anybody? That's how I can get you the beer. I made bread. I have zero qualifications from a school, from a university, from a college, nothing. I sat in front of a group of people and they said, commentate as if your listeners were blind. And it came out. So I always say to people, don't tell me that a student can do this better than that. Don't tell me an ex-broadcaster is going to do the audio description. Find me someone new. And that's what we've done. We did it in Estonia. We had an actor who sort of liked football. And I picked him because he was very good at audio describing. The other person I picked was the translator they gave me because he understood what we were trying to do. He had the ability to talk, to entertain, but the ability to understand what somebody with a visual impairment needed, and that was to be able to follow the game. Imagine sitting with your friends afterwards and they describe the goal to you, and because you're visually impaired and because you didn't have the sight of that goal, everything they've just said changed your entire match day. Why? People often say to me, why is audio description needed? I answer very simply with, why not? Why not make something better? Why not deliver something? I had a steward once tell me that nobody was listening to the commentary that I was volunteering at Doncaster. And I said, do you know what? Never, ever tell me that again. Because if it's one person or a million people, it's the same thing.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you, Alan. If you'd like to take a seat, thank you. Before we get into the wider discussion, we'd just like to talk a little bit about where Cafe come into this whole thing. So we've worked with UEFA for a number of years to improve accessible finals and tournaments, and that includes services such as audio-descriptive commentary, and we've supported UEFA in providing the service at finals and tournaments for a number of years now. Over the last few years, we identified there was a need for a strong certification of the commentators to ensure a high standard of commentary. We established the CAFE Audio-descriptive Commentary Training Network and Programme with trainers and commentators that we've worked with previously who we know provide the level of commentary that we know partially sighted and blind fans deserve. The network is now working to improve the standard of audio-descriptive commentary where it already exists, and also to fill in the blanks where we're yet to explore and introduce audio-descriptive commentary for the first time. UEFA are supporting our works and provided the following video to briefly explain a little more around what audio-descriptive commentary is. So if we could just play the video, please.
Middle of the Apoel half now for Juan Foy. Toe pokes it to his right for Sissoko. Right corner of the penalty area now. He picks out Son Heung-min. A couple of step overs. Laid off by Llorente, and Son Heung-min curls in a delightful second for Spurs. That's quality from Fernando Llorente and Son Heung-min especially. Apoel Nicosia fans in the southeast corner of Wembley Stadium this evening. A lot of them in bright orange twirling scarves above their heads. They've been in full voice this evening. Apoel Nicosia in navy training tops, golden yellow shorts, golden yellow socks. They've not stopped singing and dancing all night.
So I hope that's helped you to understand a little more around the service. We'll now take a few questions between the group. Yep. So Alan, we'll start with you first of all then. Sorry, we'll start with Hannah actually, sorry.
Okay.
Hannah, can you tell us how audio-descriptive commentary has affected your matchday experience as a partially blind fan, and how the availability of audio-descriptive commentary factors into your decision to watch a game?
Yeah, so the first time that I experienced audio description was at the Euros in Toulouse, and it transformed the way that I experienced a football match. From the minute that I was seated in the stadium, I could hear a description of the crowd arriving. I also got a description of the teams as they were training. So even before the game started, I got a real sense of what was happening. And then during the game, and then all the ceremonies, the people coming onto the pitch, and then during the game, I felt incredibly involved. I was able to follow the match. I could tell what was happening. I knew how much time was left. I knew who was being substituted, who was going off injured. There's a lot of information that is taken for granted that fans receive visually, and it completely changed how I experienced the game by me having that experience. And now I would, because I had that amazing experience in France, I would really hesitate before going to a match if I knew there wasn't going to be audio description. It really would make the difference between me going and not going.
Thank you, Hannah. Alan, coming back to you, we mentioned then about the CAFE Audio-descriptive Commentary Network and the goal of a certified level of commentary across Europe. Why is this so important, do you feel?
Why should the standard be different? Why should somebody from Spain commentate differently to somebody who commentates in Germany? So the idea is that you can go to a country, listen to a commentary, and there is a certain standard. It's something you would expect, something that Hannah expects to go into a stadium and think, right, I am going to be able to follow this from the start to the finish. I'll have a build-up, I'll have an ending, and I will go home happy. We could just say, and has happened at clubs up and down this country certainly, and up and down in the UK and everywhere else, where we just say, let these people do it. You know, the amount of times that I write to a football club and say, do you have audio description? They say, no, but we have hospital radio. What does that even mean? Because it's broadcast from a hospital, it already has audio description? No, it doesn't. So the idea of what we're trying to put together is a standard that is high, a standard that is obtainable, and as I pointed out, by anybody. But it takes hard work, and hopefully we can keep putting that standard into different countries.
Thank you very much. Hannah, coming back to you, we've spoken about some of your experiences in attending live matches and listening to audio descriptive commentary. And there was one story you shared with us recently where the commentator had changed at a stadium. And how did this affect your experience in that game then? How did that affect how you enjoyed that match?
I was really disappointed by the experience. I didn't have the same impression of being included. I couldn't follow the game. I did get quite a lot of useful background information about the players, the history, the number of caps, the number of goals for other teams. But that wasn't the information that I wanted. If I'd wanted that information, I would have stayed at home and watched the television. What I wanted was a description of what was happening on the pitch. In the end, my son, who's sighted, listened to the commentary. He thought it was great because he didn't need to be told what was happening on the pitch. I was really frustrated because I couldn't follow. I didn't know when people had scored. I didn't know why everyone was shouting. There was an injury. I didn't know why the game had stopped. I didn't know how much time was left. So I just felt I was just guessing. I was just guessing what was happening. Whereas before, I had a real sense of being part of and being included in the game.
So this definitely goes back again to a high standard of training, and it's important that the audio descriptive commentators provide this high level to help partially sighted and blind fans to understand what's actually happening. Alan, you mentioned briefly about Estonia then when we were at the lectern, and ahead of the UEFA Super Cup, we worked again with UEFA and with the Cafe Audio Descriptive Commentary Network to train up audio descriptive commentators in Estonia ahead of that match. In terms of the commitment that a national association may have to make or a club may have to make, what does a standard training look like for an audio descriptive commentator?
This has changed. It has changed over the years that I've done this, and that's because we're always learning. We're always learning what the person listening wants, but I'm always learning about the easiest way, the best way, and the cheapest way, because that becomes an obstacle for certain clubs. But, in the UK now, somewhere between £3,000 and £5,000, you can implement audio description at your football club. And that service could last for a decade. Now, somebody who's good at maths is about to divide all that up. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. But the initial cost is still only, 20 seconds of Neymar's appearance? Something like that? So there's not a big cost in the outlay. We train up volunteer commentators, so there's no cost. I had a club recently argue about them being allowed access to the media room because that would mean more food. Seriously. That is the least of your worries. I'm trying to give you somebody that can commentate for somebody who's visually impaired. I'm trying to give you a volunteer. There is no cost. Once you have done the outlay for the equipment, you've done the training, the volunteers are just that. Such like a steward or such like somebody that wants to hand out programs. If you want to volunteer your time, you will. But it doesn't mean just because you're a volunteer, you just get on with it. That standard that we were talking about comes back again. We set that bar high. Some of the best audio describers that I've had the pleasure of starting to train and then listen to over the last 10 years have come from bookmakers or their teachers or their warehouse workers, and they give up their time to go and commentate at their local football club. Their payment, it's their club. They want to go and watch. Imagine being an audio describer volunteer when Leicester City won the Premier League. They were arguing over who was doing the last game. You can imagine. I wanted to be there. And under different circumstances, we had the same conversation a few weeks ago for the game this weekend at Leicester. So these are volunteers. So they're costing the club nothing but pride. They genuinely go out there and give their all to this club. So when I hear a club say to me, maybe £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 is a bit expensive to start with, I shake my head. I really do, and I really struggle.
Thanks, Alan. Lubomir, I'm going to come to you next. As we mentioned earlier, you provided audio descriptive commentary in Kiev at UEFA Euro 2012 and continue to provide the service to this day. So in terms of the tournament and introducing audio descriptive commentary to Ukraine, Is there still a legacy there now, 6 years on, for partially sighted and blind fans?
Thank you, Michael. UEFA Euro 2012 championship was very important sport event for Ukraine. This event was entirely built on the principles of inclusiveness and accessibility. And it demonstrated us very high service provision. In 2012, audio description commentary was introduced in Ukraine at first time. This year, Ukraine have celebrated two great events again. Kyiv in May hosted women's and men's UEFA Champions League finals. Looking back at the 6 years period between 2012 and 2018, I can see a lot of positive changes. There are many initiatives were started by young volunteers, businesses, and international organizations. Our schools now became more inclusive for children with disability. Probably you may know that the Ukrainian Paralympic team demonstrates good results. The third place during Olympic Games in Rio in 2016. They are best our promoters, not only for people with disabilities, but the all young people. For me, all these changes are very evident and remarkable. And I think it's a good sign that Ukraine is moving toward to society that is more equal and inclusive. Coming back to audio description, these services were quite exotic 6 years ago. But today, ADC practices are becoming more popular. For example, more people are interested in ADC training. Some museums organize touch tours and audio guides. Beyond football matches, I also provide audio description for live events, documentaries, and movies. Currently, I am working on audio description for the theater performance. I believe CAFE contributed a lot in these services in Ukraine, and hope will be more and more possibilities for visually impaired people to attend different sports and cultural events next time.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Slivomir. Coming to Julian now. Julian provided audio descriptive commentary at the European Championships in France in 2016. Julian, when you applied to become an audio descriptive commentator, what was your level of awareness around partially sighted and blind people, and has that changed since?
Well, to be honest, around nothing. I wasn't aware at all about all these inequalities between football fans. I'm still young, I'm only 23, and I was looking football like just a fan. And I wasn't aware that there was people who couldn't follow football just like others. And when I applied to be an ADC provider, I learned that I'll be trained. I have been trained, and I understood that we need to be here to provide it to people who can't follow football just like others. And it's been 3 years I'm providing ADC in Marseille now, and every year and every match I understand something else. I understand that I need to improve on that stuff, on this stuff. And I think our work can't be perfect because blind and partially blind fans are all different too. And you have to adapt yourselves to different fans and different expectations. All all football fans don't want to hear the same thing. We were talking with Hannah just before. She wanted details, and some others who can see a bit just want more, just information, something like you can hear on TV. And you have to adapt and to make this kind of stuff to make it perfect if you can, but I think it's not possible right now because you have to adapt. And about my awareness, I'm still learning today, and I will learn tomorrow too.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Lubomir, you were part of quite a groundbreaking achievement this summer. The first time in history that the UEFA Women's Champions League final had a live audio descriptive commentary. Could you tell us a little bit about how that came about and your experiences of providing ADC at the women's match?
Yes, it was very interesting and a bit unusual experience, I believe, for many Ukrainian football fans as well. The stadium was fully booked, and the interest to this event was very high. I had feeling that I should describe the game a bit differently. It was very bright and colorful. I was told several times that girls are playing more fair than men's. So it was very interesting, and Lion and Wolfsburg bring big celebration to Ukrainian stadium. Summarizing my experience of ADC services provision, I would like to share some lessons learned. The promotion of ADC services is equally important as availability of such services. Unfortunately, visually impaired people are not seen as a key audience for club managers and event organizers. As for me, if visually impaired people could make some requests demonstrating their sound interest to particular events, it may encourage football clubs or cultural managers to become more responsive and supportive to introduction ADC services in life. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you, Lubomir. And my final question for the panel is for you again, Julian. When we first met ahead of Euro 2016, you told us you were an aspiring journalist yourself. You were studying media, you wanted to be a journalist. You said you're just 23 and you're still learning and you want to continue to learn. How has providing audio descriptive commentary helped you in your career goals? Do you see this as your career going forwards? I know you work a little around training the next generation now, but how has this affected you personally?
Well, to be honest, it changed everything. I was 9 maybe when I chose to become a sports journalist because I love football and I wanted to share my passion of football to everyone. And then I trained to be an ADC provider, and I learned something else, is that you have this social dimension you don't have when you follow football on TV, on radio. You know that you're useful. And I learned that, and that changed me and what I want to do. Today I can't hear radio. I can't hear football on radio because I'm so stressed about where is the ball, what he is saying. I'm so lost. I'm so lost because I want to hear what I'm doing right now. And I want to continue that way. I want to provide ADC. I'm providing it in Marseille. I want to continue in France. I want to, well, maybe in England if it needs help. I will be everywhere when I will be needed. But it's, yeah, I think my career just changed because I want to do that. I can't moving backwards and just provide a commentary you can have anywhere. And I think the objective, that may be a finality, I don't know, but is to democratize, I don't know how to say this, make it global, make ADC global, that not only the blind and partially blind people to hear us, but everybody. We say that on radio that can be useful, that can be maybe better. And just to bring it to another level, and I want to do that now.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think it's quite clear to see from the panel that audio-descriptive commentary can have a life-changing impact, both for fans, as Hannah, and also for the guys here also. It's really impacted them in their lives. I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I think we've got time for a couple of questions from the floor, please. Do we have the microphones? Just down here at the front.
Hello, I will speak in English. My name is Dmitry Derunets. I'm from Russia and have been working as ADC commentator for Confederations Cup and FIFA World Cup last year tournament. Just a few comments. You have spoken brilliantly, but during our panel, the first wow from the stands was after Alan had his 20 seconds of glory with his commentator, very energetic, and you know that it is very difficult. And that is why during FIFA World Cup we always worked in pair. There were two commentators because 90 minutes of such an energetic commentator was very, very stressful. As we mentioned the last panel, there was also already for the first time in history English commentator, not only Russian speaking but English speaking commentator in two stadiums, and we had a practice of one Russian native and one English native who has been working in Russia for a very long time. I think it was a success. I now returned a month ago for TV. I'm now a TV presenter, but before it I worked 8 years as a radio commentator and organized all the process, found all the people who worked for Confederations Cup and FIFA World Cup. And in that moment I can't agree completely with Alan about volunteers. Because I know I agree completely with you when you were speaking with humor about radio commentator. When I first met our blind fans who are standing here, and we had about a month of preparing for Confederations Cup, I changed my mind completely for commentating. And of course, I thought and I hope I become better. And after that, we had several sessions of speaking with commentators because it was useful for radio as well as for the commentators and audio description on the stadium. So I think this is the work that should be paid. The professionals should work there, but the one thing that we were all speaking about uniting fans on the stands. And the one thing Julian mentioned a little bit in his last words, you know, Confederations Cup and World Cup is a big event that attracts attention of the people who maybe never heard about football. And when I, with my wife, with the women who started learning about football before World Cup, and I said that I will be commentating, they asked, and how can I get this one? And of course nobody could get it by the rules of FIFA on our stadiums. They say, how? I do not know what is offside. Who is playing at the center? Why he is midfielder and why he is moving and where he is moving? And so I think this is the progress, this is the main moment that should take our description commentator to another level. We should make aware of the clubs that by means of our audio commentary, we can attract more people to football and to the stadiums. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We're going to have to move on now because we're falling a little bit behind, but myself and the entire panel will be around, so feel free to come and grab us on one of the breaks or later this evening if you have any more questions. Again, I'd like to say a big thank you to the panel. They've been fantastic today, and I hope this has been a really useful session for you guys to understand more around audio descriptive commentary.
Yes, I have a short comment. All Russia Association of the Blind, Vasily Drozhin. I will speak in Russian. Please take your headphones. Okay. Как коллега уже сказал, действительно, опыт работы и на чемпионате мира, и на Кубке Конфедерации уже у нас в стране существует. И кроме того, мы сейчас очень широко ведем работу с футбольными клубами Москвы по внедрению услуги аудиодескрипции. И, как уже коллеги говорили, действительно, процесс довольно-таки непростой, и очень важно делать это вместе. Как на одной из предыдущих панелей сказал выступающий, давайте не делать это в одиночку, а делать всем сообществом. И в качестве предложения, может быть, следующим шагом на пути развития данной услуги мы могли бы внедрить аудиодескрипцию как обязательный элемент доступности на матчах, например, Еврокубков. На матчах Еврокубков во всех странах, где, соответственно, команды играют в основных стадиях турнира. Да, это Лига чемпионов, это Лига Европы. И таким образом эта система могла развиваться и внедряться уже на более высоком уровне, на клубном уровне, на уровне тех стран, где сейчас это вот пока на волонтерских основаниях или как у нас только развивается. Поэтому вот, пользуясь случаем, участвуя здесь в этой представительной организации, представительной конференции, могли бы мы вот этот вопрос действительно себе на заметку взять и попробовать это сделать. Спасибо.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you also again to the panel. And as I say, we'll be around for the rest of the conference, so do feel free to come and find us if you do have any more questions or anything you'd like to discuss further. Thank you.